Why do you think effective finishers such as the abdominal stretch and the figure four became ineffective and reversed? Thank you for doing what you do, Darren from Pennsylvania.
I can tell you exactly why. That's because the boys get too cute for their own good. When I started watching wrestling a few years ago, nobody ever got out of the sleeper. The sleeper was a finisher, and then not only did the sleeper finish the opponent that it was placed on, but also then the guy had to wake him up. He didn't just come back around on his own. He had to be woken up, and that was a huge hot angle when a heel used a sleeper and then refused to wake his opponent up. Then the announcers would be screaming that if he's not woken up soon, if the blood flow is not restored to his brain, he could have serious and permanent brain damage. And then the babyface would come out, who knew the sleeper, and would wake the opponent up. And then the babyface, who was a top babyface, and the heel, who was obviously a top heel, would then have a big to-do, and they would have then draw money on that. The abdominal stretch, Wilbur Snyder used the abdominal stretch as a finish. It was a submission hold. But here's what the figure four. Who was the first person to reverse the figure four? It might have been Cowboy Bob Ellis and the Destroyer. I'm not sure. Maybe the historians out there can tell us. But the point is, these holes were established. These moves were established. Then, in very rare instances, a good booker would bring in, for example, if the top heel was a proponent of the figure four, like Buddy Rogers or the Destroyer, then the promoter, the booker, would bring in a top babyface that knew how to reverse that hold, and they would draw huge money off that because nobody had ever reversed it before, and it was shocking. And then all of a sudden, things started being a little bit more permissive, and then people started reversing these holes or getting out of these holes, hip tossing out of the abdominal stretch or reversing the figure four just for the sake of, because it was cute and it got a pop. And then the more it got a pop, the more the boys kept doing it. And now fast forward to modern day, any finisher that you care to name that used to nobody ever got up from, or that was always the end of the match, somebody figured out, well, if I reverse this, or if I kick out at 2 7/8, then it's going to get a huge pop. And then it went from being done very rarely and only to draw money to being done more often because it got a pop, and then being done as a matter of course, until finally, I remember when a vertical suplex was used as a finish. Guess what, folks? It was easier on your body. It was easier on the boys, and it did draw money when things like that were kept to the bare minimum. But when it was prostituted over and over and over again, then gradually that's why that moves had to have more impact and holes had to be more painful and more shit had to be done to somebody to beat them. And that's when the boys were too cool for school and too cute for their own good, and the bookers lost control of them. And that's why we've ended up today where nobody believes anything, but yet at the same time, careers are shortened and they're having surgery on every part of their body because they have to do more and more to get even less of a response. And it has become a slippery slope downhill to complete anarchy and chaos. But I'll tell you what, you ever hear, or did you ever see anybody kick out of Jake Roberts' DDT?
I don't think so, no.
Did you ever see Stan Hansen get a 2 count on the lariat? Maybe if he was working with Baba or Inoki, maybe. Or maybe Andre the Giant. But the guys who were really smart and who were the smartest guys in the room and not just wanting to get the little pop there for the moment, but wanting to take care of their own business long term, protected their finishes. And nobody, who kicked out of Hulk Hogan's leg drop? And a fucking worse looking fucking finish has almost never been created, but nobody kicked out of it because the smart guys protected their finishes. And when that person did that finish to somebody, the people knew that was it. And that's somebody tweeted me the other week. Well, Cornette said the Young Bucks ought to stop doing so many super kicks. Well, they just had the greatest match this wasn't all in Twitter, but you know where I'm going. They just had the greatest match that anybody's ever seen, and they did umpteen super kicks. So what do you think now? I said, well, I told them they should stop doing so many super kicks. They didn't. They still need to stop doing so many super kicks. They won't. So what's your point? If you can't have a great match without doing the same move 67 times in the course of it, then there's something wrong. And also, to be quite honest with you, I just told guys over and over that would do other people's moves that were finishes, but they would do them for high spots. Well, you've just made yourself look bad because you've just shown that you can hit a guy 7 times with the same fucking move that this other guy hits him with once and beats him, and you don't beat him. That means you're at least 1/7 as good as the fucking guy that only needs one time to beat somebody because you're a fucking idiot.